What's up everyone, this is Pano2525 and I finally got my RBT Rulers invite by getting top 8 in the Deck Devastators 9 tournament. And I was playing, of course, the Ancient Gear deck. So yeah, I believe my last top was with this deck as well. But I believe I have improved it a lot since last time. I have a lot of text, and yeah, I guess let's talk a bit about the deck. So I think first things first, I imagine a lot of people are wondering where is the Ancient Gear Golem? Like he was the mascot of the deck last time, and ultimately I decided to cut him. So I guess let's backtrack a bit. So in the first version of the deck we were playing Overload Fusion, we were playing Future Fusion, and the 3 Ancient Gear Golems to basically summon this guy, the ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, which is still like an insane card. He's pretty good. But overall, after playing like 1,000 matches or so, I realized that Overload Fusion is a lot of times dead. Like if you do not have the Future Fusion, it's pretty dead. So I cut the Overload. Then I realized that the Future Fusion is a bit slow because you don't really get like an immediate advantage, because most of the times you just want to summon this guy, and you have to wait 2 turns for it to do something. And sending the Ancient Gear Golems to the graveyard is not like you're getting like a huge advantage. So I cut the Future Fusion, and now I cut the Golem, because although the Golem has like some use cases, of course, being that he does piercing damage, and it's pretty good versus like if the opponent keeps bringing back like Treeborn, you can just keep hitting over that and dealing a lot of damage. Or especially if the opponent has a lot of dandy tokens, then the Ancient Gear Golem is pretty good at dealing with those. But ultimately I decided that the amount of times that he is a brick in my hand is probably not worth it. Like I know that he is not technically like a super brick because you can pitch him to revive the fortress, but I think you have enough 8 stars like with the Gadgetrons to do that anyways. So I decided to cut him overall, and yeah, I'm not super mad at it. Like you cannot draw the brick if you don't play it. Like yeah. So yeah, let's I guess do the card by card then. Of course we keep the 3 beasts. This guy is basically one of the reasons to play the deck. He negates any of the effects of the opponent monsters he battles with. So that's even if it is like a flip effect monster. So if he attacks a Raikou, the Raikou is negated. If he attacks a hamster, the hamster is negated. If he attacks a Necrogarna, the Necrogarna cannot trigger. If he attacks a Vayu, the Vayu cannot trigger. I played a lot of zombies, like all the recruiters are dead. It's pretty good, and basically he's a free normal summon when you have Gear Town up. So yeah, he's one of the mascots of the deck, and he's a pretty good, like, I guess not starter, but he can deal with any of the face down monsters the opponent has. So then next we have the 3 Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon. Of course it's the card you summon with the Gear Town to go for game. I decided to play 3 because as you will see in the replays, 3 does come up a lot. Sometimes you unfortunately you might have drawn the 2 or whatever, so it's nice to summon from deck and not from hand. Of course you can pitch him to summon the fortress, and overall he's not bad. Sometimes you also can tribute your guy to summon him for 1 tribute with a Gear Town. Yeah, so next we have the 2 Cyber Dragons. I think that's self-explanatory. Machine, you can pitch A lot of the times you just pitch the Cyber Dragon with the fortress to some of the fortress. And yeah, you have to be a bit careful to not contact your own board away. And then I guess let's talk about this Machina package. So I think last time I was not playing the Force, and instead I was playing a Peacekeeper. So of course you play 3 gear frame, 3 fortress, that's not non-negotiable. And I think by adding the force, it's pretty good. So even though I like you have like the gadgetrons and stuff to revive the fortress, if you get into a grind game, late game, you sometimes top deck the gear frame and want to search the force to just insta revive the fortress. And sometimes you can break on the force. So if you draw it in your starting hand, it's pretty bad. But overall, I'd say it's worth it. Like, it's better than the Ancient Gear Golem since it is searchable. And I guess let's talk about a bit about the utility package, as I like to call it. So Ancient Injection Fairy Lily is here, like she was last time, and she's still pretty good in my mind. So she just deals a lot of damage. She you deplete a lot of life points quickly, but I think it is worth it for the damage it deals. Of course, versus like Blackwings, she can get over like a Sura with a Kalut, which comes up a lot, I guess. And yeah, I really like her in this deck. The Grand Mole, the pesky boy, he's here of course, like last time, and he deals with any of the annoying stuff the opponent might have. Like if you do not have the Gear Beast, he can deal with the face downs. He can deal with any synchro. He can deal with like the Gorge token or whatever. Yeah, he's just great. If I could play more, I think I would play more. Morphing Jar, I think this was also here last time. Morphing Jar is great. You go through your hand very quickly by setting the gear towns and stuff. So the fact that you have like a second chance to refill your hand while discarding the opponent's hand is pretty great. Although in a lot of the matchups I do side it out because a lot of the opponents also like to have things in the graveyard, and it's I guess a tough card to play with. And yeah, so the new addition here is Gigantes. I really like this guy. So basically, as you can see, a lot of our deck is Earth. Mostly, I guess everything is Earth besides the Cyber Dragons. So you can just banish one Earth guy, special summon this guy, and he's a beater. He can also be used as a tribute summon in case I once didn't have the gear down and wanted to summon the Gear Beast, so I tributed the Gigantes for the Gear Beast, which is pretty good. And he also has an effect that if he's destroyed by battle, you can destroy all spell and traps on the field, which is great actually in this deck because you can destroy the opponent's spell and traps as well as your own. And you can, if you have gear down on the field, he can trigger the gear down. So you can, as you can see in the last match, I attacked into a Gorge with a Gigantes and he popped my own gear down to summon the Gadgetron and get over the Gorge, which is a pretty neat play. And I guess finally is the DD Assailant. A lot of people are asking about this guy, why am I playing DD Assailant instead of anything else? So this spot right here was the Machina Peacekeeper spot, and I realized that Machina Peacekeeper is actually not great, especially with all the like Blackwings and Sura that can aid him. Like, of course you can search the Peacekeeper of the gear frame, but it's not like your preferred choice. So I decided to play something like a bit more that can out stuff. So I had some choices like Shredder. I don't know if you guys know this card, but let me search it up. So Shredder is this card. You can pitch one machine guy to basically destroy a monster with a lower level, so you can pitch like a fortress to out a duplicate or something. But I decided to go with something a bit more proactive, I guess, and I chose the DD Assailant. It actually performed really well because a lot of people were just not expecting it. And I guess the argument is why DD Assailant over the DD Warrior Lady. And for that, I guess of course, DD Assailant is Earth, so sometimes if he gets like Mirror Force or Torrential, you can banish it for the Gigantes and that matters, but it's not that relevant. And also DD Assailant is not a deck devastation target, was my thought. And because a lot of people are just main decking like 2 deck devastation deck devis now, I thought that DD Assailant would be like better. Also he has more attack points, which obviously we like that because we're trying to kill the opponent as fast as possible. But honestly, you could just play the DD Warrior Lady. Maybe she's a bit more flexible with outing stuff, like if the opponent has a soft lock, she can out that, or like an Ancient Fairy Dragon in defense mode, she can out that. Yeah, because honestly, if you see the whole deck, which is like a pretty big like advantage for this deck, is that if you see, I have 1, 2, 3 DDV targets, like only 3, which is pretty good, because a lot of the decks right now are playing like, if you're playing like frogs, you're playing like 10 plus DDV targets, and this deck does not care about DDV at all. So honestly, you could just play like a DD Warrior Lady in this guy's slot. I will probably be experimenting with that in the near future. So yeah, don't be surprised if this DD Assailant changes to something else, like a DD Warrior Lady, or I don't know. I was also thinking like a Kaiku maybe, to be a bit anti-meta and stuff. So yeah, of course we have the 3 Gear Town and the 3 Terraforming and the Mausoleum. This is a standard package. We have the Brain Control. Brain Control is pretty good in this deck actually, because you do have like a lot of tribute guys, like the Gear Beast, the Cyber Dragons, and even the Gadgetron with Gear Town is like 1 tribute. But a lot of the times you just like keep it in the back of your hand just to go for game. So you just are waiting for this opportunity to bring on their guy, like their absolute zero and stuff, and just go for game. Heavy Storm, of course, is the MVP of this deck because you can just set the Gear Town. The opponent has like however many back row. You just Heavy Storm, you trigger your Gear Town, you pop their back row. It's just the plus city. Yeah, a lot of the times you need the Mausoleum because of cards like Oppression. The Mausoleum allows you to normal summon your guys, which is pretty crucial. Limit removal. Limit removal, you gotta play it in this deck. You just want to OTK as fast as possible. Like turn 2, sometimes you will see in the replays, you just OTK with this card. Just go Machina Gear Frame and the Fortress and limit removal, and it's just OTK and it's over. So yeah, Compose. In this deck, Compose I think is great. So I was playing it before also. But of course a lot of the Machina decks since then have also adapted Compose because they realize that you can just compose the opponent's like guy, but you can also compose your own gear frame, which is crazy, to just plus of whatever. You can compose their synchros, their stuff, and yeah, it's a pretty good card to out everything. Also you can like it has like a semi synergy with Ancient Gears because you can attack, the opponent cannot activate any spell or traps, and you can chain the Compose. They cannot negate it, they cannot do anything to it. Yeah, and then we play some of the standard cards like Mirror Force, Solemn, Torrential, Dust Suit of course, and this card, 2 Trapstone. So I think if I could, I would maybe fit 3, but I don't really see what I could cut to fit the 3rd one in, but this card is crazy. So basically it just guarantees your OTK, and you don't really need like Decree or anything, you just need 1 turn to OTK, so yeah, it's great. Of course the 3rd one is in the side against like heavy trap decks, but yeah, so Trapstone is really good in this deck maybe I will find a way to include the third one in the main deck. And yeah, then let's go a bit to the side where a bit of the spice is there. Of course, we got the one breaker. Breaker is actually really good in this deck. Honestly, you could maybe main deck it over the DD Assailant, because Breaker, you can pop the opponent's back row, but you can also sometimes pop your own Gear Town to trigger it and summon the Gadgetron. So that's a technique that a lot of people do not know. Yeah. Also, I have the Consecrated Light. As you can see, we do not play any darks. The only dark we play is Breaker in the side, basically. And yeah, so this is basically for the Blackwing matchup, mostly, or maybe I guess like hybrid Blackwing and stuff. But yeah, it did not really come up in the tournament because I did not. I of course played against Blackwings, but I did not draw it at all versus them. But I always do side it, and yeah, it's an extra advantage I guess versus that matchup. I'm not completely sold on it, but yeah, I am on it on the side. So yeah, of course we need the crows for like decks like I sided versus Vayu versus Forge deck. Any of the combo graveyard decks like the zombies I played, I sided the crow. Yeah, it's pretty good. So Destructotron, that's a card that a lot of people, I guess, have not seen. I really like this card because in this deck, basically the only real normal summon you have is the Gear Frame. Other than that, you're trying to like OTK with the Fortress specials or the Gear Towns and the Gadgetrons. So you do have like a lot of space for normal summons. So, and this guy is basically a walking Heavy Storm, so you can just normal summon him, and if the opponent is on a deck with a lot of back rows, you can just start paying life points. You don't really care about your life points, it's just a resource for you, and you just start popping their back row, and then after you have cleared all their back row, you can start with the Gear Towns and go ahead and decay them. So yeah, I guess he needs a bit more testing because I also did not. I sided him in the tournament, but I did not draw him. So yeah, he's also nerfed, which is pretty neat for Gigantes, I guess. Yeah, so let's move on. Venom Swamp. This card is actually pretty good. I don't think anyone else has discovered this card, but yeah. So this card. It says, in case you do not know what it does, during each player's end phase, you can place one Venom counter, and basically these monsters lose 500 attack, and if they have 0 attack, they get destroyed. So what this means is basically that if the opponent has a Duplock, or like the Forge lock, like with the 3 dupes and whatever, a tree board, you just activate this card, and during the end phase, everything gets popped. So why this card? So this card is basically, I really like it because Duplock really messes with this deck. You do not have like a lot of clean ways to out the Duplock if you have like the Gadgetrons and the Fortress already established, and they put on a Duplock on you. You can't really do much. You need like a Compulse or something. But this Venom Swamp is like a searchable way to basically out the Duplock, and yeah, I thought it's pretty good, especially versus like Forgs and stuff, where they set up like a ton of like dupes and maybe like a Treeborn for next turn or the sub. It just clears their whole board, and sometimes if they don't have stuff and they just leave the Treeborn out, it also pops that. So during their end phase, I guess, they just they have an empty field basically. So I really like it for that. I thankfully did not play against any frogs because that's like a tough matchup for this deck. So I did not have to include it. But yeah, I think it is pretty good, and it is vital for this deck right now. It's a good innovation. Of course, you got the zombie world. So this is also pretty good because against like plant decks, they cannot even lawn fire and stuff. They cannot tribute Caius in the frog decks and stuff, and they can also it can also protect yourself from getting Cyber Dragon. Yeah, so bottomless. This is basically here just for Blackwings. I actually think Blackwings is a really tough matchup because of Vigorous attack and the countless ways they can. A good Blackwing player basically can force the gear down to miss timing, so you have to really play around that. So I really like bottomless because I think it's like the best card versus Blackwings. So they go Whirlwind Sura, you can just bottomless their Sura and their whole turn ends basically. Yeah, so I usually take out the compulses and put in the bottomless in their place there. One Karma Cat, I really like it versus the frogs again. You can just sometimes hit the Treeborn and banish the other Treeborn. And if you have the Fortress in your hand, it's basically free because you can just pitch the Fortress, and then if you have like a level 8 or the Force, you can just bring it back for free. Yeah, I really like it. Then you have the Light Imprisoning Mirror. This is basically just for Lightsworn. Lightsworn is also kind of a tough matchup because they got big guys. Honest really screws you up. But also if you just stop them from milling, I think the Light Imprisoning Mirror really hurts their deck. So I think it's pretty good. Sometimes I would play like 3 if I knew I'm going against the Lightsworn. So of course I talked about the third Trapstone is really good. And the last card I guess I want to talk about is the Proof of Powerlessness. This card is really good. I think a lot of people have not discovered it, but in this deck specifically, you a lot of times you have like a Fortress up or a Gadgetron, and this card's condition is that you can only activate it if you have a face-up level 7 or higher monster, so basically Fortress or Gadgetron. And this is basically another out to dupe block because it destroys all face-up level 5 or lower monster your opponent controls. So basically, what you would do is the opponent like establishes a dupe block, and you have the Fortress and this card face down, and they go in turn, and you just flip this card on them, and yeah, they just blow up the whole board. You basically need to do it on their end phase because the monsters you control cannot attack, and you will miss on a lot of damage if you do it on your turn. So yeah, I guess the extra deck is pretty unimportant. I guess you should not include the Ultimate Ancient Gear column. You should include like another Synchro, I don't know, in case you just brain control something. But yeah, you just need the 3 Chimera tech. You're never making Synchros. I didn't make a Synchro during the tournament. So yeah, I guess that's enough yapping about the deck, and let's go into the replays, I guess. So first replay is versus Giant 70126, and let's see. I guess I win the rock paper scissors. So right here we open like a not a great hand, because we will have like 3 ways to deal with back row and the Fortress with no gear frame. So what I will say is this deck, it's actually not great going first because you have just 2 plays going first. One, of course, is normal summon the gear frame and search for a Fortress. That's the best place you could do. And 2 is setting the Trapstone and basically looking to OTK the next turn. But yeah, other than that, you do not have like any good normal summons, which is pretty peculiar for Yu-Gi-Oh in general. And yeah, if you didn't have the first turn draw, I honestly would go second with this deck. But yeah, so here we just set the Trapstone and pass the turn. So I have no idea what Giant is on, so he goes Lila, and that's pretty unfortunate. He pops our Trapstone, and he just mills 3 cards. So I guess with DDV there is some shenanigans going on. I first thought it was Lightsworn, but he has so many back row, it's probably like a hybrid build. So we draw the Gigantes, and right here I just snipe one of the back rows since we don't have the trap stand. I always snipe the first back row because I assume it's like a bottomless, and now that the bottomless is gone I can safely special summon the Cyber Dragon. But of course he has the Deep Vision, and I guess at least I'm glad that I did not special summon the Fortress. So we just set the trap stand, he sets 2 back rows, 1 monster in a back row. But now that we have the trap stand, we're pretty safe to summon the Fortress. So he has a lot of trap cards, as you can see, and yeah. So we go Fortress, attack. Yeah, so we pitch the Gadgetron, so we can just banish the Gadgetron to special summon the Gigantes to out both his guys. I guess it could be a Raikou, but it could also be a bluff. And anyways, we want to out his guys just in case, I don't know, he maybe plays like a Celestia or something. So he goes Deep Vision, we can flip the trap stand, and it was a Vayu. So I think the Vayu is dead anyways. Yeah, so we're actually in pretty good position. He goes set a guy again, we draw the gear frame, which is always a great draw. We can just draw the gear frame, go Fortress, and since I see that he's on this hybrid Vayu build with Lightsworns, and most of his traps are in the graveyard actually, like Mirror, Torrential, I decide to just go all in and like special the Fortress and do as much damage as possible. So it is Necro Gardener. I thought it might have been a Raikou, but thankfully it wasn't. And yeah, we just attack. Then let's see what he does. He goes Greffer and sends the Plague. He stocks for Plague and goes Goyo. But this does not hurt us at all because this is basically like game on board. I guess we can just go attack the Fortress, attack the Goyo with the Fortress. And yeah, he could technically like Necro Gardener this, but yeah, I don't know, he doesn't even take with the Goyo. I guess it doesn't really matter because we can just attack the Fortress and pop his gear frame also. And yeah, I guess he could have like Necro Gardener to live 1 turn, but he didn't want to. Also keep in mind that this is round 1, so yeah, always. Anyways, so this is a really good hand from us, basically. We have the geared frame, we have the Fortress, we have anything we need, but it got even better because we drew the Gear Beast. So right now we're just gonna activate the Gear Town, summon the Gear Beast, so in case this is a Raikou, this is any card basically, the Gear Beast can run over it. Unfortunately it does get bottomless, but anyways we will set the trap stand so that we can set up the Fortress next turn. He triggers the Vayu for a Sirocco, which is fine by us. So we just go the Gear Frame, search a Fortress, special the Fortress. He goes Oppression, and here's why trap stand is great. So now he's under his own oppression. We have the Fortress basically, and we can just go ham. To go attack with the Gear Frame. And here I decide that I actually, since he has like a Vayu and a Sirocco live, I decide that he maybe like wants to go for, I don't know, like a Caius or something, like a, I'm not sure what he could exactly go for, but maybe something crazy. So I decide that even if I cannot like unequip next turn with the Gear Frame, I decide that I will equip the Gear Frame and set the Torrential. So just in case like he summons like anything that can get over Fortress, we can Torrential it and the Fortress will live. So let's see how that pans out. He goes, yeah, so exactly like this. So he goes Sirocco and he activates the Vayu Engrave. So with the pump, this could get over Fortress. So I just Torrential and my Fortress lives. And yeah, I guess he cannot do anything else. So here we could have Gear Town, but I guess it is dead due to the oppression. So I'm just summoning the Grandma and hitting in for as much damage as possible. And next turn he basically just has to do something, otherwise if he just sets, the Grandma can bounce it and we just have the game. So he goes Greffer, beats the Vayu, the Gale and the Vayu, activates. So yeah, he's just gonna crush the Armor Master basically. And yeah, crush the Fortress. The Fortress pop is mandatory, so I do have to pop his Oppression. And he goes Special Summon Dad, Special pop our Gear Town, and then pop our Gadgetron. Which I guess would be pretty bad, but we do have the Maw Launcher in our hand, so it's not like awful. And we do manage to draw the Terraforming, so this is actually game on board. So we search the Gear Town, we set the Gear Town, go Mausoleum, special the Gadgetron, and go for game. And yeah, was this 2-0? I believe so. So that's how we take down round 1, even though he had like Oppression and Dark Armed and everything. So let's go into replay number 2. So replay number 2 was versus Fante, and thankfully we do win the die roll again. As you can see, I did pretty good in the RPS section. So here, I guess this is like the best turn 1 play, Trap Dash Root of course. So other than that, our hand is not great, but since we have Dash Root, we can just Trap Dash Root, and let's see his hand. So he's like on like a Diva hero build, and I think I take his Diva so that he doesn't have any waters. And yeah, he goes Armageddon, send the Malicious, taxes directly, and we know the set card is Mirror Force. So yeah, if we had like a Gear Town, we could like summon the Gear Beast, and this is basically immune to Mirror Force and stuff. But I think we generally wanna force the Mirror Force, so we'll just go attack with a Fortress. Here's gonna Mirror Force of course, and next turn we can just bring back the Fortress, so that we just don't take any unnecessary damage. And since we know his hand, he doesn't have anything to deal with it right now, so I guess let's hide his hand for now. We just pass, he draws, and yeah, he does not draw an out to it. So here I decide, since we do have the upper hand and we do have the like brain control, let's go for as much damage as possible. So we pitch the double dog, so summon the Fortress and just go ham. And we also know he doesn't have like Gores. So here he goes Instant Fusion. He can special the Mariner, and before he can do anything, I know he has the Miracle Fusion, so I immediately want to bounce this guy back in case he goes like Caius, tribute this guy, or some way to put it in the graveyard. So yeah, a bit of a preemptive compulsory so that he cannot absolute zero. And he just goes special the Malicious and passes, so this is game on board because we can just brain control the Malicious. Yeah, that was pretty cleanly played from our side, I guess. So he will have to go first. We love that we have a geared frame in hand. We unfortunately drew the Machina Force as well. But yeah, so here he will go Instant Fusion turn 1, which is pretty peculiar. And he will just normal summon the Vantage Fiend, which is pretty annoying to be honest. Because that turns off our Fortress, our Cyber Dragon, turns off everything. But as I said, we can just go Terraforming, search for the Mausoleum, and we can just activate the Mausoleum and normal summon the Fortress and run over the Vantage Fiend. So yeah, that's one way to out the Floodgate. But unfortunately, I think this turn he goes a bit crazy. He can return, he can special summon the Dark Armed, and he has the Plague and the Malicious engrave. so he can pop our guy. And he did have the Miracle Fusion also, so this I believe is game on board since we're at 6,000. So that was pretty unfortunate. I don't think there was a lot we could do right there. Unfortunately, he did have the return. So right here, I decide that we can special the Machina Fortress, especially since he has like oppression, and we do not have like an auto oppression. So we just special summon the Machina Fortress, set one compulse, and pass the turn. Hope that this is enough. He goes set double back row, which is fine. We just go attack. He thankfully takes it. I also did not select any deep reasons or stuff, so it's pretty safe to attack there. Since he set another back row, I decided to set my second compulse in case it comes up. He goes pass again. I just keep on hitting with the fortress. Set the bottomless. I draw a gear frame, which is crazy. He goes pulling the rag on the gear frame, which is fine because we can actually just banish the gear frame and summon the Gigantus right now. Yeah, we can just bounce his guy and maybe go for game since he didn't stop it last turn. And he does have the Phoenix Wing for our fortress, which is unfortunate. And I decide that since I do not want to draw fortress, I will go and search for the mausoleum. So just in case next turn he does not have anything, we can just normal summon the Gazisron in our hand and win the game from there. So let's see what he does. He goes special summon the Malicious. And he sets another guy. So since he does not have any guys in the graveyard, I decide that I can just compose back his Malicious. He has the instant fusion, so he can go with the second miracle, which is crazy. But we can just bottomless this, and yeah, he just has like a back row. So we draw the Lily. So there's not even a reason to use the mausoleum. So I just go Lily and attack directly. He does have the return to stall out for another turn. And yeah, let's see his hand. Okay, yeah, he drew the double Mali. The Karma Cat, I guess, could have stopped the Lily. The Brain Control was dead. And yeah, that's how we take it down. Yeah, so let's go on to round 3. Round 3 was versus Zhaloog. And, or I guess Gulas is his username on Discord. He did the forbidden technique by using the golf tactic, as I showed in another video, but unfortunately that tactic does not work against the creator of it, so he lost the RPS. And yeah, so this is a pretty good hand because you do have the terraforming and the gear down, and usually when I have hands like this I just want to summon the Grandma so that he can bounce whatever next turn, and we can just set the MST. So I have no clue once again what this guy is on. He goes trading. I'm like, okay, this is probably like Dragon Turbo, but he pitches the Norleras, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty bad because I cannot stop Norleras. He goes Allure. I'm just hoping he doesn't have the Phantom, and of course he does have the Phantom. My set is a bluff, so I cannot do anything. He targets the Norleras. He even specials the Greffer to have like some follow-up. And yeah, he just Norleras is the board. And unfortunately, Norleras says send all cards on the field and in both players' hand to the graveyard. If he did say destroy, then the gear down would trigger, but unfortunately it is sent. So all our hand is dead. And he draws an upstart, and I guess he passes a turn. So we're just hoping we find something good. Yeah, we just go past, draw the Solemn. Then he goes flip Raikou, and I'm like, I really don't want him to mill or have the Raikou. So this is a risky play, but I decide to Solemn the Raikou before he can even target. And I think it's a pretty solid one, to be honest. So since I pay so much life points, he decides he can go Plague and go Goyo, and unfortunately that might have cost him the game because my face down is composed. So I'm actually at an advantage right now, card-wise. Unfortunately, I draw the worst card in my deck right now, which is Force. I draw Gear Beast, nothing. I pass. I'm hoping I can find something limited removal. Maybe I can OTK if I draw like a gear frame. And unfortunately, he does go Lila. But thankfully, we do find the gear frame. And we of course search the fortress, beats the dog, summon the fortress. And unfortunately, if we do the math, I believe it's like 6900, so I'm like 100 off. So I want to keep the limiter for next turn. So I'm just gonna attack, and in case he has my fortress, I have the force. So I'm like, this is looking pretty good for me. However, he goes Dark Creator, summon the Phantom, he copies another Norleras, and he actually manages to Norleras us again. So we're pretty down bad right now. Thankfully we do have a fortress in the graveyard. So, but yeah, we draw Heavy Storm, which is absolutely useless in this matchup. And yeah, he goes set a guy, we draw the Assailant. Assailant attack. Assailant is pretty good here as a standalone guy. So we can just banish both his Lila and my Assailant. And I decide to set the Morphing Jar, so maybe next turn he does not have any guys and we can just refill our hand and we can just have game. He does have Eren, so how it works is that we did have like have to ask a judge about this. So Eren activates in substep 3 and Morphing Jar in substep 6. So the Morphing Jar gets shuffled first and then we draw the cards. But honestly it's pretty good because I don't think this guy, especially in the main deck, he does not play any defense. So yeah, he just passes. He does have a Necro Garden in graveyard, but our hand is pretty stuck. So we go Gear Town. Thankfully we do have the Heavy Storm from before, so we can trigger it that way, which is pretty cool. Yeah, we do go Lily, Gigantes, attack with the Gigantes, and unfortunately he does live on 100 life points. So we can go Dash Shoot, and we can see that he has 2 Dark Creators unfortunately. So we decide to shuffle one back in the deck, and this is pretty scary because I'm not sure what he can do. He decides to copy the Lila to pop our other back row. So right here, I'm just thinking what he can do is he has a live live Vayu in the graveyard with the Elfin. So what I'm thinking is that he can go Vayu and maybe draw into a Sirocco again, tribute the Sirocco and pump. So if I bounce back the Lily, he cannot actually go for game. So yeah, he can go Upside Goblin, and yeah, I think he could have like continued to play for a bit, but I guess he decided that it was not worth it, and he could not find the line to win. So yeah, okay. So let's go for game 2. That was a long game 1 for Norleras especially. But this one is gonna be a lot shorter because let's see what he does. He goes Solar Recharge and trade in, and thankfully he does not Norleras us. And as you can see, this is like the best hand you can have because I'll just let it play out. We go Terraforming for the Gear Town, Terraforming for another Gear Town, and we go activate the Gear Town, summon the Beast, then we go Special Summon a Gadgetron, Special Summon another Gadgetron, and Heavy Storm to summon the third Gadgetron. And this is why you sometimes need to play all 3 Gadgetron dragons. So now we just attack with the Beast, even if this is a Necrogardener, it's negated, and we just have game. as long as he doesn't have Gorge, which thankfully he did not have. So yeah, that was a pretty neat OTK line on basically turn 1. So yeah, let's go on to round 4. So round 4 was on stream actually, and Lucas actually won the RPS this time, so we lost the RPS. And yeah, let's see what he does. He's actually on zombies. So we draw the gear frame, go gear frame, summon the fortress, and I'm like, since it is zombies and it might be like pyramid turtle, I'd really like to have like 2 monsters on board. And I know that zombies like don't play like 3D prison, maybe they play like 1 or 2, but I usually safe to do this play, so I decide to risk it, go attack, goblin, and unfortunately it is the deep region, but that is honestly fine. We have the compulse for a gear frame, and he did search the plague spreader, so now he goes instant fusion. I'm a bit worried here. He goes for the dark fire, and he normal summons the plague. So honestly here I should have probably compulsed the plague because it just stops his turn, but I was like, there's no way he cannot decay me like somehow, so I just let him continue, and I was like, I'm gonna compose the synchro. So he goes Brio, Mizuki is in my back row, I change the compulse on the Brio, and yeah, he goes Mizuki to summon the plague spreader. I guess he goes Mizuki to summon the goblin and stack for plague spreader, and he can just go Goyo again and search a zombie master. Yeah, which is, I guess we're still in a pretty fine position since we got the Lily, and now we drew the gear town, so we even got another guy to out his stuff. So we just go Edison, summon Lily, and just out his whole board. And he's out of the plague spreader, so the zombie master is not really doing anything. He can just special summon the goblin zombie, so I'm really fine in this position, to be honest. He goes Sedegai, I attack, it's a pyramid turtle, so I just hold up, I just pass the turn, and next turn I'm like, I'm gonna brain control the pyramid turtle. So here he goes Diva, and honestly this is probably the biggest misplay I made, because I can just solemn the Diva, but I decide to wait to solemn the summon, which is probably gonna be a Brio, but that way he gets another Diva, and as you will see he goes Brio. I have to solemn this, and he does have the instant fusion, so if I solemn the Diva he would just not have been able to play. And yeah, he goes Reaper on the Nightmare, he just summons a Black Rose, and he does not pop my field, but instead he does have the 3 darks right now to summon Dark Army, so I'm just dead on board, which is very unfortunate. So I think if I solemn the Diva there, then I pretty much win that game. So here we open double fortress, but we do open the Trap Dashroot, Solemn, and DD Assailant, which are phenomenal cards. And yeah, we just set the DD Assailant. A lot of people do not expect this, and the Trap Dashroot and the Solemn. So yeah, we just Trap Dashroot him, of course, and of course we take the Diva from his hand. He does have the Heavy, Solemn, Return, Bottomless, and the Caius. None of that can stop us basically. He does not, he chooses to not set anything, so I don't know why he does that. But yeah, we can basically just summon the fortress for free and summon the other fortress. And this is a huge misplay for me, because if you are like, I guess this is an advanced tactic, but here I miss lethal basically. So what I do here is I just attack directly, and anyway it just ends up working out because he just consistent turn. But what I can do is terraforming, search for the gear town, activate the gear town, and solemn my own gear town, which would actually trigger the gear town because it is destroyed. And yeah, we basically know he does not have gores except if he just threw it. But yeah, that would have been a really cool play to do on stream. Unfortunately, I miss it, and yeah, but he still does not draw anything, and we win the game. So on to game 3. Game 3. So here we draw our crow, and yeah, we thankfully draw our gear frame. Go gear frame, fortress. I guess I should hide his hand. I don't want to summon the fortress yet because we do have the trap stand and the heavy storm, so we're just gonna set the trap stand to maybe set it up next turn to be guaranteed lethal. Also, he can just go for Cyber Dragon, which he does throughout the gear frame, which I'm completely fine with. He just attacks us, we take it, and so here we go fortress. He tries to bottomless. Of course, we have the trap stand. We have the Mo to out the Chimera tech and basically deal as much damage as possible. Because we also have the heavy storm next turn with the terraforming. So yeah. So here he decides to set a lot of back row. We draw the proof of powerlessness, which is funny, but we don't get to use it because here we go terraforming, search the gear town, set the gear town, and then we heavy storm. And thankfully he does not have any chainables, so the gear town summons the Gadgetron. We can summon the Mo to clear his face down, and this is a pretty clean way to get game. So we are 4-0 right now, which is great. And let's go on to replay number 4. Round 5 versus the legend GBO. So I win the dice roll and he hits me with a have fun, but no good luck. And unfortunately it does kind of work because our hand is pretty bad, and I think this is one of the matches that I actually play so bad and I basically lose the match myself, so you can see what not to do. So first of all, since it is GPO playing, I imagine he's on Blackwings because he's always playing Blackwings. So yeah, so right here we just go Trapstone. He goes Sangen. I'm like, this is not a Blackwing deck. What is this? He attacks with the Sangen. We draw the Cyber Dragon, which is pretty good. So we just special the Cyber Dragon, attack, and he goes Deep Vision. We can go Trapstone, and he gets his search, which is the Breed Dragon. So I have a suspicion that this might be like a Quickdraw build, which it is. But yeah, I'm like, what is this? Why is it not Blackwing? But I can't really complain because who wants to face versus Blackwing? So yeah, he goes Foolish, summon the Dandy with a Debris Dragon, and yeah, he can make like a Stardust, which is pretty annoying for us. So here, this is the turn that I basically throw, because I can go Terraforming, which is a great draw, search the Gear Town, and have basically a free out to Stardust. And unfortunately, I cannot really Heavy Storm. I guess I could technically like go Brain Control the Stardust, then summon, then activate Gear Town, tribute the Stardust for the Gadgetron, and then go Mausoleum as well. But yeah, instead I just go Gear Town, special summon the Gadgetron, and here instead of playing around like Mirror Force, I just am like, I'm gonna summon the Fortress as well. So yeah, I could have summoned like the second Gadgetron or whatever, but I just don't do it. Yes, so here I at least I have the conscience to attack with Gadget Fence first into the Stardust. But then I attack with the Fortress, and then I get Mirror Force, and then basically I lose all my advantage. So here I think he top decks the Lonefire, which is pretty unfortunate. Goes Lonefire, Titania. He then goes Avarice, which is crazy. And yeah, I basically have no out to this because Brain Control is dead. Heavy Storm does nothing. And Gadgetron in my hand can special summon the Fortress, but Fortress is basically not doing anything versus Titanial because you can just activate Titanial and tribute one of the tokens or whatever. So I just set the Heavy Storm just in case I can bluff. He goes Search Plasma, which is pretty interesting. He attacks, and I try to pop like the Titanial, and of course he goes for game. So yeah, if I did not attack into Mirror Force, then that game could have been very in my favor. Here we draw another like weird hand. We basically do not have any good starters, so we just summon the Fairy Lily and pass the turn. So he goes Cyber Dragon, which is kind of weird because you usually want to keep the Cyber Dragon for when I have the machines, because right now, of course, I'm gonna any machine I summon I can contact with it. He goes Cyber Dragon, he goes Sangan, and he starts attacking me. So he wants me to pay a lot of life points, but honestly I'm pretty fine with this because he's already at half life, as am I. He goes Search Quickdraw, special summon the Quickdraw with the Dandy, and I'm like, this is great, I have the compulse for the Dandy, for the Drill Warrior. This is, I basically win the next turn. But he decides to basically just leave the Quickdraw like this and does not overextend, which is pretty smart on his part. So I decide I can go Gear Town, and I think, yeah, he goes Bottomless. I was gonna try to clean his whole field. Thankfully he bottomlesses my Gear Beast and not my Fortress. And yeah, I just go attack with the Fortress, attack a token. Unfortunately he can Chaos or Debris, which is pretty annoying. And here I make like the dumbest play ever and just lose the game on the spot. So here he's gonna make Black Rose, of course, and clean my whole board. Then I have one card in the hand, which would be pretty annoying, I guess. And he can make like Dandy Chainlink 1, Black Rose Chainlink 2 to miss timing with the Gear Town, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, so here instead I have to compose something, and if I compose the Dandy, then I believe he just loses. But instead I compose the Debris Dragon for some reason. So yeah, that is really dumb on my part. So yeah, so here I'm just hoping that I can do something. If I actually compose the Dandy instead of the Debris, I could go Brain Control, the Debris, and Synchro Summon Ancient Fairy Dragon, and activate Ancient Fairy Dragon to summon the Gazoo, which would be crazy. But yeah, unfortunately I have to go Brain Control the Dandy and hope that the back row is fake. So I attack with the Fortress, and unfortunately it is a dimensional version. So yeah, at this point I'm pretty sure I have lost. He does have the Black Rose Dragon. He pops my whole board. I cannot do much about this. I special summon the Cyber Dragon, attack, set a card. He Chaoses my Cyber Dragon, and I pretty much lose the game. I draw proof of powerlessness with no guys. And yeah, he says how is this a top table match, because we're both undefeated at this point, which is crazy. Quickdraw versus NC Gears. So yeah, I played that match pretty badly, but yeah, it happens. So right now I'm 4-1, and let's move on to round 6. Round 6 is versus Julan. or I don't know how to say his name, but yeah, he basically, I think he got second in the whole tournament, and he's playing hybrid Blackwings. So we managed to win the RPS, and we go Grandma and set like a Mirror Force behind it. At this point, I don't even know what he is playing, so yeah. I see the Trooper. He mills like Sirocco and the Black Whirlwind, so as soon as I see the Black Whirlwind, I assume it's like some kind of hybrid Blackwing stuff. Yeah, he does not attack my grandma, which is weird because I thought he would like to have his Card Trooper back. But yeah, apparently he doesn't. So right here, I go Gear Town. Yeah, I can normal summon the Gear Beast, and this is pretty good because if the Gear Beast sticks, then his Card Trooper does not get to draw a card. But unfortunately, he does go Torrential Tribute, which is pretty annoying. He does get to draw, and I'm like, since I'm behind, I might as well start going for some damage. Gear Town bring the Gazon Dragon, and I attack directly. He does drop the Gores, which is very annoying for us, especially, I don't know if he drew it right now or whatever, but yeah, it seems like this guy has everything. Yeah, he does attack. We thankfully do have the Mirror Force to out it, and he does set 3 to pass and passes the turn. And here we draw the God Draw. This is the biggest suck of the century. We draw the limited removal. So basically, if he does not, if he has like a deep region or whatever, and I guess he does have a deep region into bottomless Jar of Greed, and yeah, he cannot deep region the Gazron. I of course could summon the Mausoleum. I don't think I need to risk anything else, so I just go straight into battle phase. He thumbs up that he does not have anything. I attack, and in the damage step I can limit removal and suck the game 1 and just take the victory out of his hands, which is crazy. That is sometimes how the deck works. But let's see what about game 2. So game 2 we open pretty nicely. As I said, we do have the bottomless for the Blackwings. I think I did maybe side like a Consecrated or something, because most of the cards in his deck are dark, I guess, except Trooper. But yeah, so right here I of course go Gear Frame, and I just decide to play safe and attack. Set the bottomless in case he has like a Sirocco or something, but he continues to do nothing, which is curious. So right here I think I go for the Fortress, trying to bait like a bottomless, and of course he bottoms the Fortress, so I can go Gear Frame, and now I can grab the Force. Finally, it is useful. So I just go attack. I'm not getting greedy with the Fortress because, as you can see, he can Mirror Force my Gear Frames. He goes Black Whirlwind with a Kalut, which is pretty annoying because I cannot bottomless this. He searches the Blizzard, and I assume since he just has the Kalut on board, nothing else, the set card is an Icarus attack. I would really like to bait it, so I go Fortress, I go Lily, and I just hope I can get to keep my bottomless because I think it's pretty crucial in this matchup. Like if he summons a Shura, I might as well be finished. He does not have the Shura, however. He goes Blizzard. I'm like, this is fine. He attacks me. As long as he makes like a Catastrophe or something, because Catastrophe is pretty good against my deck, I can just bottomless it. But he just passes the turn, and that's pretty annoying because now the bottomless is just dead on my field, and if this card is an Icarus attack, which I believe, yeah, of course it is, then that's pretty bad news for me. So I just go Fortress. I guess I got nothing. I'm nothing better to do than just bait the Icarus attack. And yeah, then there goes my bottomless, and this is why Icarus attack is like crazy against this deck. I cannot do much versus it. Yeah, he goes Armanite, he has the Necrogardener, he has the ability to make anything grow, but he just passes since he just has the Necrogardener. So here I must make like something happen. I go Gastron. Even if he like bounces the Gastron next turn, I can pitch it to discard to summon the Fortress, which is like okay. I can actually Grand Mode is pretty bad versus this deck because, or like right now because Armageddon or Blizzard, I want neither of them in his hand. So yeah, we have the second bottomless. He does have the Sura, we bottomless it, but of course he goes Brain Control, and this is game over for us. Pretty unfortunate. It showed how Icarus attack is pretty crazy versus our deck. And here we do have the gear frame, which is pretty good start. So here I was debating heavily on setting, on what to set, and ultimately I decided that I think it is worth setting both Solemn and Mirror Force, and I was deciding basically what should I do if he has heavy. Should I Solemn the Mirror Force? I'm like, no way I should Solemn the Mirror Force, Solemn just to keep the Mirror Force basically. So what I do instead is basically we can just go Terraforming, insert the Gear Town, and this is like a mini Starlight Road type card. So basically if he heavies, we do have like a Gadgetron Dragon as backup, which is nice. But what are the chances he has heavy? And of course he does heavy us, which is pretty annoying. I guess there was a circumstance where I should have just set like the Mirror Force, or yeah. But anyway, since I did this play, I'm not really I don't really wanna waste the Solemn, so I guess we're just gonna keep the Gadgetron that we get, and that is pretty unfortunate. He goes Sura, and of course he has Sura Kalut throughout our whole board, which is pretty annoying. He can go Armor Master Defense, that does not do anything, but yeah, that's pretty annoying for us. He does not have any backer, which is weird, so I assume his hand is like all monsters. Unfortunately it's Trooper, which is a good monster that can get under bottomless and over the gear frame. And yeah, so we drew Terraforming. We can special summon the Fortress and just get over the Trooper. This is looking pretty bad for us, especially as he MSTs. He has all the back removal for us. And yeah, he crashes the Armor Master, which is a bit peculiar. But yeah, so here we draw NC Gear Beast, which is pretty good. Basically, I assume it can stop anything. So we activate the Gear Town. Unfortunately, he does have the Dust Tornado, and since it is Chainlink 1 Gear Town technically and Chainlink 2 Dust Tornado, the Gear Town misses timing. But however, we can banish the Machina Force, special the Gigantes, and tribute it for the Gear Beast, which is pretty neat. So I guess we can still do that. We negate his Necro, which is pretty cool. But we're still like, he has 3 cards, and the possibilities that he has something that can out the Gear Beast are very high, like a Blizzard. And of course he does have the Blizzard. Yeah, he tries to take with the Goyo. Thankfully the Gear Beast cannot be special summoned, so I guess that's a plus. And yeah, so we're pretty down bad. Unfortunately here, or I guess fortunately, we draw the gear frame, but unfortunately the force is in the banish pile already. If we did have the force, that would have been pretty good. But yeah, we just draw the fortress, and I guess we pray we live another turn. Yeah, so unfortunately we do draw the heavy storm and we're just dead on board. So yeah, that was pretty unfortunate for us. He did have the heavy storm turn 1, and yeah, so right now we're 4-2, and basically if we lose another match we are out of the top cut. So we just need to lock in and win both rounds. So round 7, this was versus OG99, very good player. I believe he won like an IRL RBT, one of the first ones, maybe in Maryland or something. And yeah, I know that he typically likes to play Vayu, or only plays Vayu, so I'm pretty confident that he's on Vayu. Thankfully we do win the RPS, and our hand is okay-ish, because we do have like 3 bricks basically, but we do have the limiter removal, which is pretty good, and the gear frame. So yeah, we just go gear frame, search for the fortress. He goes set the guy, and I draw the gear down. So I think I just special summon the fortress right here, because we have a ton of ways to special summon it. And yeah, I'm like, this is probably like a Riker or something. So I just attack with the gear frame, just in case he wants to target the fortress, which of course he will not do. But yeah, just to get in some extra damage and maybe like chase him with the limiter next turn. Unfortunately it is the hamster, so we just waste an attack there. But it's not like we have any back row, so yeah, we just equip with the gear frame. And the next turn he goes Raiko. Thankfully he mills Dad. It's always nice to see that Dad is in the graveyard. He goes Gale, and he can special summon the Catastor, which is pretty bad because we have no vow to Catastor basically, except the card that we drew. We're pretty lucky. We drew the Cyber Dragon. Catastor is a machine, and we can Chimera take away the Cyber Dragon, the Catastor and the Cyber Dragon, to summon the Chimera Tech. So right here I'm like, well, he did not like activate the back row last turn, so might as well go for it. Gear Town into Mausoleum, and we summon the Gaztron. So right here we attack with the Chimera Tech first. Of course he's gonna let that go through, and now basically nothing else can stop us, and we can damage step limiter removal and win the game. So his back row was an MST, and yeah, that's a pretty good cheesy win with the limiter as always. So now this hand is pretty good actually, because he goes set, and we go Gear Town. I always assume that this is a Reich or something. The Gear Town is fine, and we normal summon the Gear Beast. This does not get stopped, so I'm pretty confident that the Gear Beast will go through. He like pauses a lot for a minute because I don't think he expected the Gear Beast, and the Gear Beast just does its job, and it eats the dog. So yeah, it's Mirror Force, so we don't really care about that. We do set the traps down, however, and we're pretty happy that that happened. He goes Cyber Dragon to get away our beast. That's completely fine. It did its job, and yeah, we just take some damage. So here we draw the Force, obviously the worst draw in our deck. So as you can see, there is an argument to just not playing the Force, and like the amounts of time I drew it, but then it didn't help me. Yeah, I don't know, like it helped me like twice, but it might have been a better draw in other times. So right here, thankfully Cyber Dragon is 21 and Chimera Tech is 20, so we just special summon the Cyber Dragon, go Breaker. I assume that the old back row is like a battle trap, so I just pop it, since now the battle trap is live, and I was correct, it was Mirror Force, and this works out perfectly for us, because we can just go Cyber Dragon, attack the guy. I'm pretty sure that this was a Raikou, but thankfully it was a Necro Gardener, which is great for us because he cannot pop anything, and we're in pretty good position right now. He goes Trooper, mills C, he again mills the Dad, which is always nice to see, and the Oppression. Unfortunately he does hit a Vayu, which is annoying, but yeah, So here what happens is he has Trooper, we have the Cyber Dragon out, but since it is Vayu and the extra deck is pretty tight, he does not have like an extra Chimera deck to Chimera deck. So I guess he just hopes we forget that we play Chimera deck, but of course I do not forget. With Chimera deck he loses his draw. I summon the dog and I go ham. So he's like, wait, I have Torrential Tribute, but I'm like, I have the trap stand. I do not care about your Torrential. So yeah, I just keep attacking. Pass the turn, he goes Greffer. Greffer picks the Vayu Sirocco, and he can go for the Armwing, which unfortunately will clear the Ensigir Beast. And he does have the Necro Gardener here and the Vayu, so if we clear this guy, his Vayu is live. So we do draw the Heavy Storm, which is pretty interesting. Right here, we can tribute summon the Ensigir Gadgetron for 1 less tribute. And since he does not appear to have any back row, I'm like, I need to clear the Greffer, just in case he does send like a Plague next turn. And he can play it like Stuck and Brio and I don't know, maybe like game us somehow. So I'm like, I will have Storm right here, summon the Gadgetron and try to clear his board. So attack this guy, he Necros, and of course we do clear the Dark Greffer. However, unfortunately he does have the Brain Control, and that clears both our guys. And that leaves us in a pretty bad position. We're basically no cards, except that we draw the Compulsory, which is pretty good at dealing with the Armwing, and that will also stop his Vayu in the graveyard. So we just set the Compulsory. He does stop the Armonite, so that is pretty bad, because he can send a Sirocco and his Vayu will also be live, and that's basically game for us. But however, he decides to send instead another Vayu, which is, I don't know why he did that, but that means that we can just compulse away his guy, and now his Vayus in grave are dead. And yeah, he even thought it would get Deep Prison, so I'm not sure why he would send a Vayu instead. Yeah, his back row is dead. Unfortunately, we do not draw any card, we draw Solemn, so we're just hoping he whiffs a draw. Thankfully he does, he draws like Dust Tornado, which has nothing, and then we draw the best draw we could have drawn, the Gear Frame. We go Gear Frame, search for the Fortress, beats the Force, summon the Fortress, and at this point I do not care at all, we just attack. He goes Dust Tornado just to try and scare us with a Mirror Force, but the Mirror Force is already in the grave, so I do not care at all. And yeah, we win the duel, and as I say to him in the chat, you were not expecting the dog, and the dog put in the work in this match. So right now we're 5-1, or I guess, no, 5-2, and this was the last round of the day, so we move on to day 2, that we have the round 8, the final round, and we basically just need to win to top, or if we lose we do not make top lane. So let's see how we manage to do that with round 8 versus Feufo, I'm not sure. So I know that this guy, I searched a bit around and I found out that he was on Machina Hero, which is actually probably one of the worst matchups for my deck, because if you really think about it, the Machina Hero plays like 2 Prismas and it main decks the Cyber Dragons, so they have a searchable way to Cyber Dragon always for my deck, and Cyber Dragon basically destroys my deck, because you have the Gadgetron out, that's like your main power play, and they can just clear that like that, and they play like multiple Chimera deck in the extra deck, so this was gonna be pretty rough. I knew if I was going to win this, but thankfully this is a pretty good hand and we do win the RPS. So we do go gear frame, search for the fortress, and I believe I set like a compose. So yeah, he goes Stratos, search the Prisma, and as you can see he already has like a live Cyber Dragon for us. He does crash with the gear frame, and now it's pretty peculiar. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna summon the fortress, and we do know that he has a Cyber Dragon in his hand basically to out it. It's a weird situation. I decided to go Space Typhoon. He did set a Bluff Miracle, which means he does not have like many traps. Maybe it's not a bad idea to set like bluffs versus me, because then I might not go for the OTK. Unfortunately, we do not have an OTK line right now, but I decide that if he does try to go Chimera Tech, then I can just compose back the Prisma, and then I basically have wasted like one of his Cyber Dragons. Sometimes they play just one Cyber Dragon. And yeah, anyways, you always need to start getting out damage, but unfortunately he does just draw the Cyber Dragon, so he just goes Cyber Dragon, Chimera Attack of course, and attack. I don't mind a lot about this attack, so I don't need to compulsory. He then goes main to Gear Frame. It's pretty annoying. We do draw the Heavy Storm, which is pretty good in case we draw another Gear Town, but right now it's not doing much. So I think right here, of course, I summon the Fortress again, and I try to clear the Gear Frame. So here's same idea. I think if he tries to go Prisma, I can just compose back the Prisma, and he has no more Cyber Dragons basically. This is the whole like play around of the game. And I decide to set another compose. So he just goes Fortress instead, and he tries to crash just to pick out my back rows. But I can just compose his Fortress. That's basically a plus since he had to pitch a card to summon it. Now he goes Prisma, reveal the Cyber Twin, goes Cyber Dragon, and on the resolution I can still compose back the Prisma, which is great. Now he has 2 back row, and if we draw a Gear Town, we're like in a winning position. We do not draw the Gear Town, but we do draw the Gear Frame, which is also like game winning because we do have a Fortress in the graveyard. So we can go Heavy Storm, it goes through, it was a Miracle and a Solemn, and we go Gear Frame, search the Force, pitch for Fortress, and we do win the game, which is a pretty cleanly played game from us and pretty well navigated with just having compose basically. So game 2, he goes first, he opens the Stratos Prism again, which is terrifying for us as I said, but as I see here we do have like Brain Control and Heavy Storm Terraforming, which is like a great combination to OTK. So basically my gameplay in this game is try to OTK. So I'm just gonna try and basically do nothing until I gather all the pieces. So I just pass. I do not want him to get another Stratos. So I draw Mausoleum, which is great. It's another field spell. It's not Gear Town, but it is the final field spell that I'm gonna need. And right now I could try to go for the OTK, but unfortunately I can summon the Gadgetron, which is 3000, then the Fortress with the Mausoleum, which is 55, and the Stratos, it's 73. It's not enough for game, and I do not want to leave the machines up for him to Cyber Dragon. So if this was a Gear Town, it would actually be game, because we could have like MST'd the Gear Town, but it is not enough yet. So I'm just gonna summon the Grand Mode so I do not discard, and even if he bounces the Stratos or whatever, then we're just gonna go for game. And he goes attack with the Stratos to bounce it back. He has a Fortress. I take some damage and I'm fine. He summons the Stratos again, and he sets another back row, and we do draw the Gear Town, which is crazy. Honestly, that's the best card we could have drawn. So now we absolutely have game. So let's see, we do Heavy Storm first, then we go Terraforming for the other Gear Town. So Gear Town, summon the Gadgetron, summon the other Gadgetron, activate the mausoleum, pay 2000, fortress, and brain control his fortress. And this is game on board because we have like 11,000 damage over Stratos, and he does not have cores, thankfully. So yeah, this was probably the toughest matchup of all the rounds because of just Prisma basically and Cyber Dragons. And yeah, so I'm glad we played that very cleanly and we made top cut. So it is a top 16 top cut, and let's get into the top 16 match, I guess. So top 16 match is versus Taproot 823, and this is probably like the most important match because whoever wins this gets the guaranteed RBT ruler invite, which is what we're basically playing for, and gets into the top 8. So unfortunately I do lose the RPS, and I know that this guy is on Blackwings, 42 card Blackwings, which is peculiar, but nonetheless it is Blackwings, which is pretty annoying, so I'm gonna have to lock in and do my best. So he goes back row, pass, and I'm like, this is great, this hand is pretty good. I can go gear frame, search another fortress, and maybe summon the fortress. I do summon the fortress. Even if he deprisions it, then I do have another fortress with the Gadgetron, and that's great. I could honestly like maybe go for game, but I do not think it is worth it because if he has one stop like this deprison, then that is not game, and I have laid all my cards on the table with nothing else to show. So yeah, he goes fortress, banish. Then I do have the Trap Duster, which is great. Even going second, we do see that his hand is Sirocco as expected, since he does not summon. Unfortunately, he did, I believe, just draw the Allure. Of course, we take the Sirocco, and he does have the heavy Icarus and Mirror Force, which is pretty annoying for us since we don't have any back row removal, I guess. He goes Allure, he banishes a Vayu, so I guess we know that he has one unknown. And basically this face down is either Icarus attack or Mirror Force. We draw the Machina Force, which is it's not awful, I guess, since we do have a fortress in the graveyard. And I decide that it's not worth to play into Mirror Force, so I'm just going to attack. He does draw what is that? A Bora, and I'm like, maybe the face down is actually Icarus, so I should just keep attacking, not give him a chance to Icarus. He did draw the Kalut of the Allure, so that is actually pretty fine. We do get to set our Solemn, so whatever his back row is, as long as he just keeps one, we can deal with it and maybe win next turn. He just goes attack, we take the damage, and we do draw into the second gear down, which is perfect, because right now the Gadgetrons can absolutely play around Mirror Force, so we just need to Solemn the Icarus attack. So we go gear down, special summon the Gadgetron. He goes bottomless, which was unexpected, and I'm like, bottomless is absolutely fine because right now I just gotta negate the Mirror Force or the Icarus and I'm fine. And since I have another Gadgetron and the fortress, this should be game. Also, I have not used my normal summon even, so I can just summon the second Gadgetron and attack into fortress just in case he has like a second Kalut. I don't believe he has. Yeah, we basically know his whole hand. But even if he did, it would have not mattered because we do have a Solemn Judgment to stop the Mirror Force. And that's a pretty clean way to end the game 1. So this is probably one of my favorite games because you will just see. We do have the gear frame, the fortress, and the limiter removal, and I'm like, I gotta go for it. So we summon the gear frame, search the fortress, special the fortress, and here I'm like, I gotta attack first with the fortress. If it is a deep region or a mirror force, he's gotta activate it. If he does not activate it, then buddy, you're dead. Because we go attack, fortress, and in the damage step we activate limited removal and he just dies. Because fortress plus the gear frame is over 8,000 doubled. And this was on stream, I believe. That was pretty hype moment to win. And yeah, I just want to win as fast as possible. And I believe the face down was basically like a, I don't know, like a draw trap or a dust tornado. Yeah, it's pretty good. Or maybe a Necros attack that was dead. Yeah, so this game would have been very different if I played it a lot safer. So I'm pretty glad I did that. And this basically secured my RBD ruler invite. So yeah, let's move into top 8, however. So final match in the top 8 versus floatstonemafia. I know he's playing zombies. And I do win the RPS again. I'm pretty good at winning RPS, I guess. In this tournament, I'm pretty lucky. It does matter a lot. But as you can see, we do not have like the greatest place turn 1. So right here, I'm just gonna go set assailant and pass the turn. So he goes Goblin Zombie. He has no idea what this is, so he goes attack, assailant, and he just takes some damage, which is always good for us if he takes damage. Here I go Goblin Zombie, and I'm like, I don't even want you to get the search. I'm just gonna attack with the Grandma, bounce back, and start dealing damage with the assailant, and slowly poking to the point where like one Gadgetron or like a fortress or something can deal damage. So he goes Diva and Gilman, and this is pretty surprising because I would assume he would just make Catastrophe to out the assailant, but instead he decides to have just Spine Gilman, which I guess maybe works out for him because we did have the Cyber Dragon to add the Catastrophe. But yeah, we also had the Grand Mole, I guess. So right here, I'm like Cyber Dragon, and he goes bottomless. I'm like, oh, you should not have done that because right now I have game in a lot of ways. So I can go Gear Town, summon the dog, pits the force, special summon the fortress, and banish the force to special summon Gigantes. And this is like 6400 damage, which is more than enough to deal game as long as he doesn't have Gores. He did not have Gores, but yeah. So he goes first, he sets a guy, I draw. As you can see, I'm the goat, I draw the NC Gear Beast as long as I need it. I go Gear Town, summon Beast. I'm like the summon goes through, that's great, let's just attack. Unfortunately, at the start of battle phase, he goes Phoenix Wing Blast on my dog, and that's pretty unfortunate because he does get to keep his guy, but we can just do that next turn again, so I'm not really worried. And he did pitch the Mizuki, I do have the Crow, so yeah, that's pretty fine. He does throw the Diva, which is unfortunate because he can start laddering up into some synchros. He goes Goyo, search the Zombie Master, he does activate Mizuki, thankfully we do have the Crow. But yeah, this is easily outable with Lily and the Force. He does go Stardust Dragon, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I decided to go Fortress. He did have the bottomless for the Fortress. But Lily can just out the Stardust, which is pretty nice. And I'm like, I'm not in a bad position, but unfortunately he does top deck the Brain Control as always, and that is game. Okay, so right here, that's not the greatest hand, but we do have the Trap Stun, we set it up for next turn. Maybe if we draw like a gear down and he does nothing, we can just OTK. And he does not do anything. We do draw the gear frame, so we go gear frame, search the fortress, and we do pitch fortress for fortress. Since we do have the trap stand, we can just go aggressive. Unfortunately, there was not like any way to actually do game. I do not believe so in this position, even though we did have the Gigantes. We are just a bit short, so I decided to just attack with these guys, and he does not even pop his back row. So that's curious. I'm like, I'm gonna set the compulsory, so even if he tries to Cyber Dragon, we can just bounce the gear frame and set the force, which would be pretty nice. And instead he does go Diva, Gilman, and the Catastor. I am forced to compulsory the Catastor away. I guess I'm not forced, but yeah, it's a pretty neat. I'm starting to think maybe if I did not compose the Catastor and let that happen, then maybe if I compose the gear frame, then special the Cyber Dragon, have the gear frame, search the fortress, then have 4000, then his trap is useless, and basically I have game through Gores, but that's a bit tough to see. I guess I saw it now, but yeah, he did not activate Gores last turn, so I'm just gonna attack. He goes Dust Tornado, which is pretty bad for us. I got Trap Stun, and he does have the Gores, which is unfortunate because I really thought we just had game that time. I attack with the Fortress. I decide that right now, since I don't have the Compulse, I'm just gonna equip. And yeah, he just goes Gores, attack, and he goes Lightning Vortex to pop our Fortress, which is I guess annoying because he does have this Necro Guardian in the graveyard. He's pretty low though, so right here I think I'm throwing a bit. I just throw the Crow, which is annoying because I cannot like Crow his Gardner. I guess I can Crow, but it will have to force an attack. That would mean that I would have to special summon the Cyber Dragon, attack with it, it gets Necro Guarded by the Crow, and yeah, then do my shenanigans. So what I decide to do is I terraforming for the Gear Town. I Gear Town, summon the Ancient Gear Beast. Unfortunately he can stop this attack, but I'm like, just to put on some pressure, I banish an Earth for the Gigantes, and if I cross into Gores, the Gigantes will pop my Gear Town and summon Gadgetron to stop the Gores. I think what I should have done is just basically pass the turn, because the next turn I can Didicrow his Gardna on his turn, and I can freely clear his board, whereas right now I'm very susceptible to Chaos basically. Yeah, he just goes Necro Guardian on my Gearbest, which is probably correct. Then I'm committed right now, so I just have to go Gigantes, summon the Gadgetron, and pop the Gores. And right here, of course, he does have the Chaos, and yeah, we're just in a pretty bad position right now. Actually, he just turned around. If we drew, yeah, we would have drawn the Gear Town, and I think if we just had passed last turn, the chances he OTK'd us are pretty slim, and I think we would have game with Gadgetron. So yeah, we just throw the Gear Town, we cannot do anything, we just pass. He attacks, we just need a guy, we draw Lily, which is pretty good, but he does have a back row right now. So here I'm thinking maybe I should activate the Gear Town to bait like a Wind Blast or something, maybe a Dust Tornado just to be sure. I ultimately decide that I have enough life points that maybe I need to keep the Gear Town. Yeah, maybe that was dumb. I guess if he does have like Wind Blast, there's no point to Wind Blast the Gear Town instead of the Gadgetron. But yeah, I special summon the Cyber Dragon, I summon Lily, and I'm like, I pray this just goes through. I attack with Lily. Unfortunately he does have the Wind Blast. he stacks the Lily, and then he does break on our Cyber Dragon. And we just lose this one, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we definitely could have won. As I said, if I didn't compose the Catastor, I believe then I would have like a Chimera deck with 4000 that could have gamed. But yeah, as you can see, I did not play like the best in all of the matches. That is like both good and bad, because you can see that the deck sometimes just carries itself. Like some of the games we just drew limiter and just OTK out of nowhere. Yeah, I think this deck is really cool. I think it's actually pretty good in the meta, and it does have a place. So yeah, I guess let me know what you think of the deck. Maybe there is always like a room for improvement, and yeah, hopefully during RBD rulers I showcase like a good performance, and we may have like a junk champion this time. You never know. So I've been talking for like 2 hours straight. Hope this video oh my god, this video is so long. Whatever. So I'm just gonna see you in the next one. See you guys. Bye.